society. I would like to request Dr. Pintel and Joint Secretary, Indian.
First, I would like to request our President, Professor Parthaputim Majumdar. Sir, please come on the dais. Dr. Rajat Kanti Das will take this responsibility. Rajat Kanti Das is eminent anthropologist, the senior most professor, retired from social, cultural anthropology. He is the expert in and as well as in social sciences. Now this is the time, sir.
Professor Parthaputim Majumdar, probably in its totality. But as it is customary, I shall try to in a nutshell. Professor, yeah, scientific excellence, Center for Liver Research and Innovation, Kolkata, and an statistical institute. He has made significant contributions genetics and genomics. Yes, notably oral cancer, constructed the ancestries and relationships He has published widely in journals of international, you know, he has founded the National Sciences and of the West Bengal Academy of Science and Technology. He is a member of the International Human Cell Class Alliance. He serves as an expert on many, many distinguished lecture fellowships of the Sri Memorial Medal 2020 by the Golden Jubilee Commonwealth Medal 2018. 2014, the School of Tropical Medicine GD Bidhannagar Award of Foundation, New Delhi and Kolkata. The Om Prakash Bhasin and so many PhD students who could extend celebrating human diversity. Many anthropologists, conduct anthropologists. Good morning, everyone. It's through a tumultuous time right now in our country, in Southwest Asia, Israel versus Russia is continuing for many months.
It's very tumultuous time, and the appeal that much of this stems from, of course, there is politics, of course, there is economics, but attainment of peace, justice, and strong institutions. Goals that they've called as sustainable development goals, and this is really prosperity of all of humankind, of all nations, not only today but into the future. That's what the sustainable development goals. If we all can identify some facets of this, some facets of our and strive towards attainment of the sustainable. Which is the basis of most common conflicts. We are seeing right now, not in a very explicit way, but in a very tacit way, respecting certain kinds of certain sects of individuals, sections of our society, spread in Ukraine versus Russia and so on. Disrespecting or looking down on our differences brings injustice. We are superior to them. We always feel that I'm superior to most injustice, eventually leading to disruption of peace. To modulate our own minds and think that we are all equal, and this is supposed to you, that we are actually all equal. We all stem from a common resource, common set of the people for the people. Disruption of peace and injustice weakens institutions. If there was diversity, if all of us looked exactly the same, if all of us or disrespect others, and therefore, what we curtail and sustainable development goals speaks just. That's what I'm going to try and justify through the rest of my talk. Culture, values, and what have you. Lots of different kinds of diversity, lots of different features of diversity. It's essentially how one person is distinguished from another person. Humanity, and that's the heritage of humankind. Respectful recognition of our differences that inform our cultures, our values, our minds, and all our ways of being in the world. This is what we need to recognize. Once we recognize diversity as the heritage of humanity, we all share that heritage, and therefore there is no cause for us to. Who not only can understand, recognize, and celebrate all of what we are seeing, can also provide leadership to others to recognize and spread the knowledge and really will see is that there are differences and diversity really means difference. And this is what you're going to see if you scratch the surface, that there is a lot of forms that appear to us in different ways, and it is, belongs to us. And this diversity that than what separates us. So there are two sides of the same coin. We look at all of us. And it's not just my appeal, rights that was published in the year 2000. Practice of solidarity towards individuals, families, all of humankind. I have been associated with the profession of anthropology of angle of human diversity, which is really the genomic angle. And here it says that UNESCO says that there is a fundamental genomic unity to all of humankind. I really don't have the time. Okay, so I will begin with a little bit of history, but I will also make certain assumptions. I think this history and the person who comes to my mind first is this person called Prashant Chandramal This in the Indian Statistical Institute, but he also contributed a lot to our understanding of physical forms, diversity of physical forms. That there are many of you who are teachers who know all of this, but there are also many students, and therefore I think it's good for me to mention these kinds of things that our predecessors have done. At the turn of the century, and at the turn of the century, Herbert Risley is somebody who initiated all of these kinds The person by name JBS Holiday, you see here, an Indian citizen, and he joined the Indian Statistical Institute, and two of them, built the curriculum of the Indian Statistical Institute, of which I'm a product. So this is what Lopez had done. He had done this is in the 1940s. The paper was published in 1941. The survey was started around, or planning for the survey started around 1935. Conducted this massive survey in the United Provinces, comprising the United Provinces is like of time. They looked at various population groups and asked a few questions. I'm not, of course, not going to present their entire report, but impress upon you the kind of questions that they asked. The right kind of questions, because after all, we are sell the kind of questions that they ask is if a member of a caste population, population live in close geographical proximity, the caste population. Places, which two would you find to be more similar? So those are the kinds of questions that they ask. Is there a close correspondence between the social status of a caste group and its resemblance to the Brahmins? This is 1935, 1937. So these are seminal, but those were the days when they actually asked these kinds of questions. Can we infer the origin of events, and do such inferences agree with historical knowledge? So diversity and all of this. I'm going to skip the neutral word group as opposed to caste or tribe or whatever. They adopted a neutral word. They also defined the word group. They said that it consists of individuals survey of the United Provinces. They came to Bengal, that was undivided Bengal. Now, Rao had taken the frontier, and D. N. Majumdar, the anthropologist, continued to collaborate. Brahmins of Bengal has to be used with some caution, which essentially means that Brahmins of Bengal should not be there is closer resemblance between caste groups within a genes and ancestry also play a major role in shaping. Poetry cannot tell the tale. What's the tale they were looking of anthropometry, and they came to the conclusion that anthropometry can serological data. So they biological data or genetic data. Our experience with no role. So if you're interested in understanding the genetic, I would assume that all of us know, in spite of some claims that are being made about out of India, even we all believe, and there is plenty of evidence. Bit of a debate. It could be 100,000 years, 150,000 years, 200,000 years, but about that time. And we arose in Africa, we moved out of Africa. I'm not going to provide the about 100,000 years ago. When we moved out of we migrated to different places, and that out of Africa, traveled through the coastline, came into India. The second wave of migration went through North Africa, through Southwest Asia, has been in the forefront of human evolution, has been one of the earliest places where humankind came. It's the center stage in human evolution. We in that after we came out of Africa, we met who were already living there, who were living in Africa, in Europe, and they look very African. So are they mixed Africans or who are they? All the second concept that we met are Denisovans. So when we came out of Africa, and they are called they are showed that they are very distinct from either modern humans or from Neanderthals. So they were a separate species altogether. And so the question Islanders, are they Neanderthals? Are they Denisovans? Modern humans? And it turned out that they are neither. Skip this. When we published this, something very interesting. Melanesia. Melanesia, as you know, is not sort of north of Australia, and there are lots of tribal populations there. They feed their bodies, and like many other tribal populations do, and the Neanderthals or the Denisovans or the modern humans, a species of humans that how much of commonality was there? Are we admixed? A large number of population groups sampled from various places in Asia, and this is a genomic reconstruction of the relationships. Something that this is an early divergence, which is an ancient divergence, which is this is the bottom of the tree. These are various branches of the tree that are more and more ordered. So this is the order, this is the root of the tree, which is the most ancient. There is a third branch that emanates from here, and that branch belongs to us, India. So, like I said, in what we again found in genetic diversity of humans, having human genetic diversity in India. You know that there are tribal populations, caste populations, religions. These are from the People of India project. The estimates are from the People of India project. You also know the kind of organization that they have. You also know the kind of languages that they speak. Suffice it to point out that the Austrasian language of speech is spoken exclusively by the tribals and the Dravidian, Tibeto-Burman, and Indo-European. We did a massive study again in India, and it was various population from sample from various. What we find is that the Australian they sort of clustered together, the Europeans clustered together, the Europeans and tribals spread apart, the clustered together by and large. So or Austrasiatics or Tibeto-Burmans. This is again, I don't have the time to provide. Dravidians were quite spread all over India. Were spoken even they were more widespread. more recent. It was published in 2019. So from about 2016 onward, we started to sample Indians from also other parts of Asia. But this time, what we did, we had the technology to be able to sequence whole genomes of individuals. So what we did was to sequence whole genomes of a large number of Indians. Some results of admixture of Indians with our cousins, Neanderthals and Denisovans. So we started in all 42 ethnic not great. The reason why the sample size could not be one genome takes lakhs of rupees, so it's a huge expensive endeavor, and that's the reason why our sample size remains small. As it may, what we were able to find, well, the first thing was that we asked, or first question that we asked is there an admixture? If so, to what extent? This is what we see. This is a range. Portion of their genomes. They must have also inherited a portion of our genomes, but they became extinct. So we don't. The extent of admixture is small, but we one population group to another. But here there is an interesting pattern to it. What we find is that the percentage of Denisovan admixture among the tribal groups is much higher than the caste groups, and especially the Indo-European Brahmins. So essentially, Southeast Asia, they had already migrated to Southeast. They were involved in Russia. They migrated to Southeast Asia, and there was a lot of modern humans in this part of the country, and that's the reason why we find that tribal populations, as we know, populations are many, and that's essentially what we find. So, the Nisovan gene component of the Nisovan the contributions of diversity of various kinds of our ancestral species. You is completely wrong so far as the genomes are concerned, because there is no hierarchy in the genomes. Population group that can be called as pure Indian, because every one of the population groups, every one of us is completely admixed. Uh, this is, I'm going to skip this because I think Kankaraj is and these four are represented by four colors. This they have a separate ancestry. So this is mainland India. Each addresses on the x-axis are a large number of individuals, thousands of individuals. On the y-axis is the proportion, it varies from 0 to 1, is the proportion of the genome that is that comprises these everyone except for one at the end, some individuals populations have predominantly the green color, they are the Eurasians. Predominantly the red color, they are the Dravidians who live in Austrasiatic and Tibeto-Burman, which we found from our other studies as well. But this study reveals that if you look at it, that every one of us has a checkered genome, every one of us that we have contributions from different ancestries, and therefore no one is a pure Indian. There's nothing called a pure Indian, and therefore we are each we need to celebrate this diversity. We need to recognize that diversity grade them in terms of their better ability. Appeal is that we need to recognize that and collectively we have a diversity of genomes, and there is no the heritage of all of humanity, and therefore, if we learn to recognize and celebrate this, we will probably build more peace, more equality, and better institutions in India. I'd like to end this talk. I'm going to read it out for you or along with you. It's time for the preachers, the rabbis, the priests, and the pundits, and the professors to believe in the awesome diversity so that they can teach those who follow them. That in diversity there is beauty and there is strength. We all should know that diversity makes for a rich tapestry, and we must understand that all respecting diversity is the key to sustaining peace, justice, and progress.
That modern humans have a common foundational unit will ultimately. Thank you, sir, for the enlightening keynote. We now third memorial lecture to be chaired by the legendary Professor Borun Mukhopadhyay and our distinguished speaker.
Sir, thank you very much, Professor Mohinder. Professor Majumdar's different subjects, the clarity with which he deals with advantage are the less knowledgeable. We are the less knowledgeable people like us who are also less equipped. Probably he has a we only hope that he continues to maintain some interest in future as well. His advice will add to the strength of the society's future. Thank him.
Hall 2 is upstairs, and ground floor we have G19, and we would request sheets for the details of the papers. For any assistance, please reach out to us, and our students would guide you to the venue. So now I would like to Dr. Diptendu Chatterjee, Joint Secretary, Indian Anthropological.
It's an evidence session, keynote address. Always it's a not take. Now we have come to the next session. It is also figure of anthropology and national. Professor Sheikh Rahim Mondol. Sir, you both are requested cordially to come on the dais. Professor Borun Mukhopadhyay is retired from Indian Statistical Institute, pioneering institution in research in anthropology. He is not a faculty member, not a professor of Indian Statistical Institute. He was the one of the administrator and most position in Indian Statistical Institute. So it's a very proud moments in anthropological fraternity. So not only the administrative responsibility, the teaching responsibility, he is a researcher in anthropology. He has guided a number of PhDs. He has completed a number of research projects funded by government of not only such kind of responsibility, he is attached with the and past General Secretary of Indian Anthropological Society. The during his tenure, the Indian anthropology So, sir, it is the time, and our SS Sarkar Memorial Lecture will be delivered by Professor Sheikh Rohim Mondol. I would like Guru sir, please introduce Professor Sheikh Rohim Mondol. Before which, we have a duty to felicitate our chair. Paul Mukhopadhyay is the chairperson of this session. Now, this is the time to felicitate our speaker, respected Professor Sheikh Rohim Mondol. I would like to request our chairperson to felicitate our speaker, respected speaker.
Real pleasure to be here and to chair this session because of this particular learning this discipline is informed about many different people. And I disciplines. Instituted this memorial lecture solutions that this particular society. 1908 in the village of Noida. Postgraduated and got his GSc in 1940. Of the Rajmatas. In 1938, at university for his work on large groups in the Sun. Bidhannagar Institute for it to work with youth in twin studies. He rejoined Bose Institute and continued his work on twins. Notable works were in the ANS side, blood group investigations in the eastern India, including Andaman and Nicobar Islands, report on skeletal materials from Taxila, excavated reservoirs, place of human biology in anthropology, and its utility in the studies of nation. Long time back was much changed. From 1951 till his death in 1969, I find some of his students who actually joined his undergraduate courses, and here left for everything. He had big publications there between 30 and 61. He published not only in technical journals to make anthropology popular, which is a very essential thing to make people understand what exactly divergent views on what is anthropology. By a sketch I go to his work as a snapshot. Methodological work, who could never read that work, was very important for us during our undergraduate days. And his ancient places of Deccan, contemporary populations of definitely here through mutation and mixture with negroids who migrated to India. Just the Indian, Punjabi speaking, Polynesian, we were very accustomed to all these classifications. in one way or the other, we have to understand that in many different dimensions. This scheme was based on metric, but he suggested that in efforts like this, archaeological, cultural, linguistic, and other related information was also necessary. And this also exemplifies that he was against. For specific metric, morphological, and physiological digital format, just means events, embryonic and postnatal features of life with respect to these states, historical study of human care. And fortunately, many of us students did work the records, secular trend between suggesting decreasing between births between 9 to 7. Demography studies, conducted studies in fertility, mortality, sex ratio, birth interval, age at minority, and advisability of consumption, criticism of census data. The demographic survey of anthropology. He treated anthropology as an integrated whole to understand human cultural anthropological studies range from description of categories, little dark crushers, to detailed study of the social history. Those to come out of the conventional on theme of this conference also. His thoughts on the application of human model for marriage counseling, image, and for prospecting and familiar burden of disabled children. Suggested sex education for the young, preparation of would be necessary for such a he proposed marriage meeting and avoidance of poverty. Marriage at the right age beneficial to normal sexual activity for the female. So basically, it was dealing with its doubts. the marriage commission to exist in India based on biological and social traits. In his speech on the memorial lecture in 1967, to have a meaningful analysis of the biological species with social concern for addressing human. Somewhere in the line of legacy of Dr. Sarkar. In Anthropological Society, of course, Dr. Sarkar was in Indian Anthropological Society. I think it was in all kinds of activities of education in India. Professor of the Department of Anthropology, the director, Center for Local Languages and Cultures of University. Currently serving the guest faculty of Department of Sociology. He has not mentioned here of his administrative acumen. He was there in many different. He is serving as an expert member in academic bodies of autonomous institutions. He has mentored who have also found the ways. He also tell you about the type of every for new teaching. And that was here. The anthropology to hear it, follow the time because we are already late. And I will take care to very elegantly give this lecture
believe that we have in 24 and those are especially the students members of Indian Anthropological Society, you will get the membership. In this issue, to issue, you can contact with me and also Dr. Shubir Vishwas, the General Secretary. This is the announcement. So, the students and the scholars, also the others, those who are not the members, you please attach with this. Next week, to claim that after my class, engaged. My lecture I have they may not be with me, but this lecture I have prepared for the sake of party scholars sitting before me. And because this is 21st century and which the whole world changed, anthropology was started for the 20th century. We have come across the phase, we have phase. Happy to see that many of my old classmates are here, and my senior colleagues are here. For me, it's a reunion. I must confess that it is the society, my first paper presentation. The first paper was published by the Journal of Indian Anthropological Society. So it's nostalgic for me. But of course, since I am living in North Bengal, of course I'm unable to attend all the conferences, and perhaps the first time I have received to have a memorial lecture, and the memorial lecture for because he was the teacher of my teacher. So it is very nostalgic at the station to deliver such memorial lecture. So people starting, I bow my head before Professor Sarkar, and because who has given the right time. My lecture. His works and because the seminar he talked about that how it helped the nation. Second was he was always of that time he was much ahead of time. It means he thought what anthropology should. He must also say that he was one of the architects of the Indian society. It's the correct Indian that association.
It sustains in India. It was for with the yes. It was research. I further analyzed after I am speaking on the critical phase of anthropology. Spectrum. What change so we have come at 100 years of anthropology, of teaching and research, started at the I'm still in a second position that we are. Something research. I may be wrong. And if we see correctly, so 100 years have passed, but three things is still, as because of the fact that day by day, young people see what is their future. And because either they will get a good fellowship, moreover, we Indian anthropologists to happen. If I see correctly, Majumdar rightly said, India is multicultural, multilingual, multireligious, multi-ethnic, so many multis are there. Are we able to cities, but actually stay just the level two important theories hunting in anthropology. Classes of civilizations. And that is also hunting. But how many in anthropological courses we are teaching these classes of civilizations? And because the classes of civilizations of cultures, classes of identities, classes of ethnicities. So why we theoretically unable to develop in our course curriculum? But if you come to the other sister discipline, in our concepts we have cleared it.
As because one important thing, sometimes my students asking me, anthropology is the study of human being. There are all categories of all times of all places. It is the theoretical definition. Because it was started by the colonialists for their own interest of, what should I say, divide and rule. So if we follow that sort of distinction between tribes and civilized, who are civilized, thing, Santal, then last word is Santal tribe. Why we use the term tribe? As like as all societies, diverse societies, they are also democratic, but still we are bound tribe from the ideal characters. It is possible to find out the ideal characters among the tribes. There are many tribes. Students are in high position. Many of them are bureaucrats. Many of them are tribe. Even in Indian context, the term tribe, interestingly, is very complex. Some are studying Bonojati, Jonojati, scheduled tribe, Mulvasi, lot of things, and very recently indigenous. Even in our research papers, we also published in journals. A very theoretically incorrect position to use. Sir, what is the difference between indigenous and tribe? He said that all tribes are indigenous undoubtedly, but it is not that all indigenous are the tribes. But indigenous means the tribes. And once again, the term ethnic usually associated with the follow the Martin-Mario's definition of what is the ethnic group. A social group which can be distinguished from the other social group biology. If we put in a philosophical term, if I put a question form by my students, what is there to know in anthropology? There are many other subjects which are called human science, but what actually is there to know in anthropology? A very popular term. One of our students submitted a thesis and comments came from anthropological studies or a medical sociological study. Still we are unable. Some common solutions are he has studied on tribe, so it is. We never thought of that. Secondly is, why should we study? Why should we conduct anthropological studies in India? The big question. Should we study tribes? I am a knowledgeable person on tribes, but what tribes is getting benefit? The question is, we should focus on for the tribes or for the people. So anthropological studies should focus on the people. Actually, 100 years of anthropology, basically we have
the tribes, very few for the tribes, or maybe the few for the people. Now I come one important thing. Professor Mujumdar rightly pointed out that we have a common ancestry. Why is all the time the interreligious conflicts? So problem is nowadays we have to think in other way. We have one important thing I should say. So we have developed concepts, but it is a social science. This is not a syllabus. And why we put syllabus, some people say that he is sociology, but he has the educational right. So for the caste of lower order, maybe Sanskrit. If you don't mind, two important concepts are there. The backward Hindus, it was by Gure. Another one, Professor Bose's concept of Hindu methods of tribal absorption. Good, that time it was valid. But if it is absorption, they are challenging the tribal policy. Just want to change it. They said that tribal policy. And that is of the fact that 2006 is always in confrontation in reserve forest and other places. Another valid in present context. It is possible to define a culture as it was defined. That is society specific. Society is territorially bound. In a global world, how far a tribal society or a mainly ethnic society or a culture can be defined, and because nowadays we are all very famous work, ethnic groups and boundaries. And we were much more focusing on boundaries, but there are British has never started to study as because it's interethnic relation, genomic relationship, or biological relationship. We study from physical and cultural point of view because we have. And this biological ability said that we have less number of differences in terms of maybe in blood groups and in our biological ability. Just now, Professor Mujumdar has said. So, in a new way, how culture to be defined in the present context. And because the culture, there is another term common, popular culture. This society. A society no more territorial bound. Santal living in Santal Pargan, it was once upon a time. In Bangladesh, even in Nepal, I've given several theses of Santal. So no much ceremonially bound. So we cannot define the my place. A lot of villages are emerged, they do not call as a context. And more so, we have a new concept has emerged called syllabus revision we have done, how much theoretical we have contributed to definition of culture, definition of society, and the way and content that is why I say anthropology for the times. Taken place in 21st century. I'm just mentioning a very few. One is the emergence of this society. This is risky. Your examination, we are moving the road, and you are having a degree, you may not get a job. Everything is in risk, and because of maybe the environment or maybe more for my lifestyle. Maybe for my lifestyle, my guru is here. Is a popular term for bioculture. The bioculture. To study, maybe biology has influenced me. Because why? Two hands, two legs. But today, is it bioculture or cultural biological? Me, and because it's my lifestyle, depending on my health. It's my people said the climate just like thousands of crores of money are also derived from the climate itself. Discuss about how to preserve the environment. In our anthropology, we have the old syllabus called cultural ecology. Is cultural ecology valid or environmental anthropology is valid today? To study the environment. And for the environment to be studied, the new concepts, new paradigm that we need of paradigm. Now we have got the new directions. But recently I have seen a very important issue when circular from ICSSR. Coming into ICSSR, ICSSR wants to ideology. Going on, Bidhannagar just taking into consideration just one important they were extemporary telling you. Sometimes Indian civilization contributed by all societies, all cultures. But whenever it is, even in this, I have not seen written that all communities living in a multi-caste village that are not being studied. To get that project, as because theoretically it is not accepted by the, of course, by the power. As because cosmopolitan is the basically concept. Many people living together. We problem. Because cosmopolitan basis. We should highlight the his teacher, of course my teacher too, Professor Amitav Batu and Subhash Vistas wrote a very nice paper, Anthropology, Dead or Time, research scholarship. And it's a huge debate among them. It was dead or died. It was less 70 about the anthropology. Tipu was somebody who said that Tipu was in different position. He said, no, anthropology neither dead nor that's theirs. That's the power logic. And because their life subject. Even many anthropological people development is another subject, what you call anthropology. People study better what the people. But the now thing in development anthropology, who prepare top-down approach, which it is the plan of the project. Just to implement. But the approach means we should involve people. What should I say? Means we have to accept, we have to people voices should be incorporated in process of practice, even in market. Project programs, policies are wrong. So rather we have to study in relation to the thinking in terms of concept, thinking in terms of methodologies. I was talking about development, anthropology of development, anthropology development, critiquing of development. And you another study which development was displacement. Development was displacement of people marching. Who was displaced? We have the Asian highway. They, what is the result of the people? When the so when the it actually true sense because man how did we try how resignation you teach. The government said that we are developing, but development is something else. When the policy is just to support the infrastructure at that place, so we have to think we are still planners, policymakers, politicians, everybody. So my humble submission is this: we should be very careful for using the concept at all. And finally, as this going to end, I think, but really we human beings, just a law, but the more human values, the fundamental thing for the study we are, how much ethical we are. We will study now discussing the question of ethics, challenging the question of ethics. And because we are utilizing elected policy and plan, there is such a gap between the policy that should have come from students. My own students sometimes. First, in our state, we have research report that is very 3 or 4 institutional international renowned. Most of the research institutions in India have lost their RD. Providing that the question is long term. We are producing the knowledge. And when you know this knowledge be used for the sake of the people or for the national building, it's very difficult to recognize that it's wrong. We must say that relevance and representation. If I in my university is happening, sometimes we have research committees in many departments. Now it is study. Even the Department of Environment is studying the type of to the report. I do not find justification. Should be settled within the bill. That, oh, at the set of the beginning, which why we are fixed. syllabus we have to complete the study of peace. And this immediate markers, the given social peace, the social security. Nowadays, we're all concerned with security, the national political security. But what about social security? It's to fit well in the present situation. Still, we facing the same problem of representation, relevance, and identity. So, anthropological identity remain there unless we that this is our identity.
Definitely, I'll tell you right now.
So you may not agree with me. Both sociology and we don't see our in the but sociology than social welfare, sociology and social anthropology offers microscope. Anthropology offers participant observation. Comprehensive analysis. Think of it as a solid backbone. Anthropology is self by following the same methodology. The participant of the media is shown. Said that some books are available here. Some other colleagues, field studies in India. In the field studies in India, cinematical work, or which they went ethical issues. We participate for the sake of arts, for the collection of data. All students in the world, which are just all the students are able to submit. Self-regret. It means self-regret. It means how I, the self, my experience must be. Must have innovative mind. Without innovative PhD, creativity, nothing. In competitive era, anthropology is on the basis. Is our theory concept are still helping us to understand a better market. We have the Lucknow school, we have the Delhi school, we have the school, and we have study school, relationship. This association even area. Very joke. Thing is, we have been regret. Indians and the dark that construction of theory buildings or concept buildings. And this idea. Thank you. Typical of him. That it is very difficult for us to stop listening to technologies in India, having so much of experience. In the environment of the research institute, so on, he has built an enormous insights into the problems that enormous insights into the various technologies. Students will be benefited if they interact with him. And teachers and student interaction will be necessary.
in anthropology. And of course, the manual. Questions, because conventionally we cannot ask or entertain. The purpose of this particular tribute to a legend called Shashank Sarkar, and that is our success in this particular session. Thank you so very much for giving attention to our speaker. All of us. So this is the time for the lunch break.